YouTube land. How you doing? Hope you're having a lovely, lovely Thursday. I just thought I'd do a video kind of about essentially kind of the strategies that one tries to work on in their daily lives to navigate challenges, as well as navigating successes with both, I guess, grace and dignity. I think many of the people that are growing up today, all the way up until their middle ages, have been inundated with this model that exists for how to be a member of society and the value that it's taught that sadly the true the reality is your value in society is deemed to be related to the value that your job or your income is. And there is something completely flawed about that idea. And this although this video might touch on some of the elements of what sound like The Matrix and Andrew Tate's comments, that notion has existed ever since the industrial, ever since anybody had a power position over another human being. And of course, we have to live somewhat of a material life because there are material things that we require to be safe and be just to live, like your home and your clothes and things like that. And yet it seems like the psychology is that once you start reaping some sort of value, then you're locked in somehow, whether it be by a desire not to change one's quality of life, or maybe even a desire to push oneself to the limits that they're able to achieve, which is a good thing if one recognizes that that's what they want to do. And so the strategies that I'm talking about are pretty simple in the sense that they're simple problem solving. But as I mentioned previously, so many people are so many people are living their lives trying to make things work or doing just fine. And we're distracted from the inner machinations that might happen because of stress and obligation and family. And somehow we get lost in this journey. If you're let's say if you're successful in your career, then perhaps you're constantly trying to improve in your position or your salary or your likability. If you're a parent, you're taking care of your children as best as you can and giving all of yourself, hopefully, to your children to try to help them grow and learn. And even if you're wandering as a person, you end up, or one could end up, just let's say in thought loops, trying to understand this world and understand where we belong in this world, you and I. And where that happens, again, you get potentially caught in thought loops that get you nowhere. And so the strategies that I'm talking about are pretty simple, but they require deep work. What I mean by deep work is essentially opening yourself up to the ability to listen to what's going on in one's mind or in one's body. But just listening and noting. The key is without judgment. That's the really hard part. And to be honest, it's not necessarily these sorts of behaviors only related to bad things going on in life. It's good things where certain positives might happen, but our judging conscious might allow us to pursue a direction that we might not really want, but that judging personality or conscious is making one pursue that success even further when maybe that success was just perfectly fine where it is. And so step one is getting to a state where you can listen to what's happening in your conscious, in your mind. And with the day-to-day rigors, that's really hard. And to even get to that state, I would say people need to do a lot of mindfulness activities, meditation, or soundboarding with friends, just so that you can get some thoughts out there, get some of the truths out there and process them. And so once you get your mindset investigating what's going on inside, then you need to journal or make kind of, I would say even like weekly at the very least, but daily journaling to capture what's coming out. And you're looking for really as problem solving at that point. You're not really judging, you're just writing them down. That could take a long time between meditation or mindfulness and writing things down. Step 3, I would say, is to look for common themes in what you write down about what you want, what you don't want, how you feel. Look for common themes. And then perhaps once you identify those common themes that keep coming up, you can start meditating on those things to try to get personal answers to some of the questions that might be going on. There's a little little b. Um, and I guess what's hard along that journey is to not have a judgmental mindset, which brings me to acceptance. Acceptance of things is, for some people, quite challenging. And all I can say is, one can say they've accepted something until they actually accept it. And what I mean by that is, you've got to, like, to really accept something, you've got to bring it into your conscience and determine how that thing is affecting your emotional state, your physical state, or your mental state. Recognizing what they're doing and saying, at some point saying, with love, all these things that I feel about this subject are valid, and I accept that I am unable to change them, or I accept that I'm not able to allow them to be born again later. And only with true acceptance can one move on. It is a very hard thing to do for certain aspects of life. And then as we do, so getting back to the steps, you've looked at what is going on. You've hopefully accepted it. And then next step is you need a soundboard, or you need somebody that you can share, somebody that you trust, that you can share your feelings with. And if you don't have anybody you can trust, pursue some time with a mental health professional. And maybe they can get you answers, help you get answers to things that are happening inside, or things that you can't get past. But have a sounding board to check in with somebody that knows you or kind of understands what's going on, just to get some perspective from somebody else. Because the human mind, the mind, is as amazing as it is scary, in that you could, let's say, have a false belief about things, and the way that you perceive the world can be skewed. And so it's good to have a check with a few people, if possible, just to see if there's some blind spots or things that you haven't actually considered about a situation. I would say the next step has to be acting. And this is, if not just as hard as opening yourself up to the truth inside. But action is the only way that you can bridge uncertainty with outcome. the mind is so capable at protecting us, um, but it can um, prevent us from acting on things. And that action takes courage. And by acting, I don't mean jumping out of an airplane with a parachute to live vicariously or make a change. I'm saying once you've identified the problem and you've looked and you've double checked and you've decided kind of what you want to do, you have to act. And if you don't act, I would say, okay, you've made great progress. Work on the fear that comes up for action or inaction. And that action can be inaction. If you've decided that you're not going to do something about it, but you've accepted it, great. Hopefully that frees up some capacities in your soul to put your energies towards something else. Getting back to my original point, I feel like for many, many people, they are, because of coronavirus and the Great Resignation and the quiet firing and quiet hiring, I feel like most people have been, step back, with the amount of inflation and interest rates going up and cost of living becoming a challenge for many people. We tend to put aside what we need and not listen to what's happening inside. And that causes, I believe that causes tension in people within. And then that tension turns into stress if it's prolonged. And then the stress adds to the cycle. And then if it's prolonged stress, it becomes trauma. And usually at the trauma point is when people kind of have a collapse, let's say. And hopefully those people can navigate kind of those challenges and get healthier to the point that they're healthy again. So, and then after action, one should kind of reassess. And if you're journaling, you've got a record in your journal. That's basically, nobody else can tell you how you perceived kind of the situation. That journal is your truthful experience. And sometimes we forget kind of a sequence of events or kind of the path that we had marked for ourselves, and that journal captures our progress along the way. And if we're honest, we can say, okay, I'm doing great, or look, I said I was gonna be here on this issue and I'm not, so you rework the plan. And without some sort of journaling, and it doesn't have to be like in a really bougie notebook you buy from Michaels, but it does need to be just a record. You can do it by email to yourself or notepad notes, on the computer. And part of the action that I'm talking about is acting on the plan as well and reworking it. And for me, I've had a combination of illness and career change that for me were quite devastating, let's say, emotionally burdensome. And I'm navigating that path myself. And I'm at the step of essentially of working the plan and checking. And it brings some peace to my soul, knowing that the outcome is unknown, but action's being taken. And so I would say revisit the steps that I mentioned. So step one is to put yourself in a state where you're able to listen to what's happening within. That takes time. Step two is, without judgment, to start writing down things that you feel are happening. Step three is look for commonalities to identify maybe what is the true challenge or the true marker of success. And then like we said, have a sort of soundboard. Check with loved ones or people that know you well, or health professionals. And then next step is to act. Have an action, whether it means exercise or change in routine or change in job, if you're financially secure to do that. Change in, and when I say change in job, it doesn't mean leaving a company. It means maybe asking for a different role or title. And then after action, you continue to journal and check your progress and see where your journey is, and all of this takes courage. It takes courage to take on your demons, or to determine what drives you, both in failures and success. See them for what they are. And for me, I found that there was some peace that came with knowing what actually ended up happening, and what's driving me, and what I want for the future. If you liked what I've been talking about, if you're interested in personal growth, eventually we'll talk about technology, society, and culture and art even on this channel. Please feel free to subscribe if you'd like. I'm a small channel that's just starting out, so that would help out a lot. If you take one thing away from this video, and you don't want to do any of these steps, which are suggestions for what works for me, they're obviously not going to work for everybody. But I think one thing that works for everybody is to be more kind to oneself. Start there. Maybe it'll open up a space where one can go down that path if they want to better understand what's going on in life. And maybe that will help with freeing the soul with the time that we have to do more of the things that we actually want to. I am Mo 2.0. Thank you for spending time here today. Hopefully the river music wasn't too loud. And much love. Take good care. Bye-bye.